Just a quick look at the agenda as well. My colleague who is also here, Ailish Fihan, she's going to be helping with the admissions and any other interactions. She is the event and marketing coordinator. I am going to shortly be introducing the World Green Building Week, and then we will be hearing from Ralph and then from Colum, who will be speaking on reducing GHG emission in construction. Ralph will be talking about emission in public procurement. If you have questions as you're listening to any of these presentations, please feel free to write your questions down. And if you're also concerned about if you would have the presentations after, be rest assured the presentation will be made available after this. Now, just in case you did not register on Ticket Taylor and we do not have your email, you got the Zoom link, that's fine. Just make sure you send an email to events@southeastenergy.ie. events@southeastenergy.ie, so we can send the presentation to you. So first of all, why are we even here? Now, we're here because we're celebrating and marking the World Green Building Week. So it's usually organized globally, and it advocates for an urgent decarbonisation of the built environment and the transition to more sustainable construction and urban development. Now, this happens second week or third week of September every year, but for this particular year, it's between the 9th to the 15th of this month. So we seek to bring together architects, builders, policymakers, the general public to raise awareness and to promote the integration of green practices in the building industry. Now, we also try to emphasize the importance of reducing carbon footprint of buildings and creating a built environment that enhances the health and the well-being of its inhabitants. Now, this entire World Green Building Week is spearheaded by the World Green Building Council, but in Ireland, it's the Irish Green Building Council. A number of them as well are also on this call. And Southeast Energy Agency is a member, which is why we are organizing this webinar as well. There are also other discussions, other workshops as well, so you can head on to the IGBC website and find out more about it. So you're going to be hearing from our very first speaker, Ralph Camp, who is a trained and qualified architect with postgraduate education and professional experience in the energy sector. Now, he joined Southeast Energy Agency in February 2020 and has worked on several projects, including Housing 4.0E, focused on small-scale, low-carbon and affordable social housing developments with the local authorities and other stakeholders in Ireland, also project partners in Northwest Europe. Now, currently, he is the project officer for the DeCarb Interreg Northwest Europe funded project, co-funded by the European Union. You're welcome, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. So I want to talk about the DeCarb project today to give an introduction and give a short insight into it. Next slide. Yeah, that's me. So Dima introduced me already. So the next slide. It would be good, or if you understand at the end of this, the DeCarb approach. So what is important, how we want to reduce the CO2 emission in procurement, and what are the beneficials. So the next slide, please. This aim of the project is to decarbonize the procurement by introducing carbon pricing. We looking there especially on the supply chain, also the scope 2 emission, and we want to implement that in our public procurement, also with our local authorities here in the southeast, and maybe even more. The consortium, they find out that carbon hotspots in procurement are mostly in infrastructure, construction and energy. And we are a 12 partners from Northwest Europe who are all working on carbon pricing. So there are some introduced already carbon pricing. They want to amend or increase or enlarge their activities, and we use this experience for transferring this knowledge and experience into other large LAs, medium-sized and small-sized LAs. The project duration is started last year and will end, the active phase will end in 27. So the next slide, please. The next slide. Here we go. Thanks. So these are the 12 partners that are other local authorities, other climate or energy agencies, and provider of tools and instruments. We are running we are developing pilots where we're testing carbon pricing. Also not only in Ireland, in France, in Netherlands, and Belgium, in Germany. There's large partners that are Amsterdam, the city of Amsterdam, city of Essen, city of Paris, and Strasbourg. We have medium-sized the Metropolregion in Arnhem-Nimwegen and Wiesbaden, and so the small local authorities are placed in Ireland, here in the southeast, and in around Strasbourg. They are working with the Strasbourg Climate Agency. Climate Verband is the project lead. They is the lead partner and the work package 3 leader. And Climate Alliance is the leader for work package 1 and the lead for communication. And they advocate the convenient of majors. Then we have SCAO. They are providing the CO2 performance letter, so I will go into that later on. And all this, so we are around 24 to 30 people working on this project, and they're all specialists in carbon pricing, in working with local authorities, with so all have so professional background in this field. And city of Amsterdam and city of Paris introduced already carbon pricing. So the next slide. So basic principle is the power of procurement. So we want to change or add some above criteria and introduce carbon pricing and low carbon materials from the supply chain. And by using this carbon pricing in procurements, the local authorities demand from the supply chain to compete for products and services with lowest emission for the lowest price, and that will effectively reduce the related emission. And that is not in theory, it's experience from Amsterdam and Paris. So the next slide. What we want to include is other external costs. They widely not include at the moment, but that are we want to give the carbon a real price, also what the price for the damage that it causes, and want to include that in the procurement. Avoiding, of course, is the best way to reduce carbon emission, and that will be the key for carbon pricing. Here in Ireland, we want to link the carbon pricing with the implementation of green public procurement, which is mandatory for the local authorities, and use this as an advantage. So the next one, please. Here I so then so explain a little bit what are the work packages. Those are actually steps. They know they don't go in line. They be working parallel. Also we working parallel in the first step of the analysis of the current situation of carbon pricing and everything that has to do with it. We developing the pilot ideas where we introduce carbon pricing, and we will focus here on shadow pricing elements. That means we will set up a pilot where we test the shadow price as an internal comparison between building as usual or business as usual with a pilot element. In step 3, which we are developing as well, it's all about the implementation, the training, rollout, and monitor the pilots and the implementation of carbon pricing all over. Benefits are for the local authorities. We raise the authority budget to generated revenues. We anticipate future changes. We bring innovation. We hold on. Need to. We make climate action fairer. We try to accelerate this transition to net zero. We force greater disclosure and awareness, and we trigger national or global action and reduce finally cost of climate change and reduce the CO2 emission. The next one, please. We working with different forms and shapes of carbon pricing that are so external and internal process or where we so have areas where we don't have cut floor, just to produce awareness, so for a decision-making process, and we try to convince the supply chain to change in this matter, to produce more or provide more sustainable products and low carbon materials. The next one. In Ireland, we have already some carbon prices. That is a EU ETS system for big fuel emitter, and we have an Irish domestic tax, but it's not covered with the EU ETS. But it's at the moment 56 tons per euro per ton, which is still quite low, and the target is 100 euro per ton, but still that is far too cheap. So we need a real price, and some people said, or some the economic social research institute Ireland says they reckon 150 to 200 tons euro per tons were more realistic, and in the Netherlands Klimaverband they're calculating this around 850 euro per ton. And we have as well a public service obligation levy introduced in 2010, but here as well this is related to fuel, but we want to extend this project this carbon pricing to the supply chain, to service, to materials and works. And the next one, please. We try to set the right price. So that are challenges. We also try to setting the right price will be a challenge, like public resistance and so the political support. Even we have the climate action plan, but still that will be a challenge. And so the experience in Amsterdam, for example, was that the supply chain has an outcry and then said, no, we cannot deliver that, but they saw that it was to their advantage, and people that didn't change, they went out of business, and people or the supply chain that changed, they still in business with the local authority in Amsterdam, for example. Yeah, the next slide, please. So in work package 1, or the step 1 was a research work that we did before the start and during the first year, and find some needs for the local authorities. So and we find as well some barriers and where we can adapt or maybe so introduce the carbon pricing. So as I said, we plan to do that as a shuttle price, and we are about to set up pilots with local authorities for compare so low carbon materials or recycled materials for the transport department, for replacing tarmac surface, for example. That's one idea, and the other one is just to have an comparison tool where we compare low carbon materials with normal fossil-based one. So next one, please. And we try to develop our pilot. So this is different types of carbon pricing. We try to change some of the policies or implement pricing this, and we working as well on projects where we implement carbon pricing, and support as well, so with a specification of award criteria. And that's it for the first so introduction and view, and that was a short overview of what we actually do. And I would be happy to inform you more about more detailed and more advanced information if you are interested. And yeah, I'm hand over now to Alex and Colm. And yeah, thank you for listening. And at the end of the presentation, we have no, that's to the very end. So now one on top. There's our maybe yeah, you know, here is our website and website von Klimaverband and von our project, and for example from the CO2 performance letter, where we have as well the agro green building, for example. They running a pilot with a transport infrastructure island in Kildare. They working as well with the performance, the CO2 performance letter in their supply chain in a project where they replaced road surfaces. And the convenient of majors, we will use parts of this structure and elements as well. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I hand over to Coleman Alex. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if you have questions for Ralph, please go ahead and raise your hand. We can unmute you, or you can put it in the chat box, whichever is convenient for you. Just let us know, raise your hands or put it in the chat box, okay? And we will respond to all your questions if you have questions on this particular presentation. But in the meantime, while we are collating these questions, Ralph, just some other questions that might be on the minds of people. How do you suggest public procurement agencies could balance the costs associated with carbon pricing against the potential environmental benefits?
It's a good question. So we are sure when we implement so low carbon products that we have an increase also in CO, also saving CO2 emission. This benefit, what you say, is as well so helping the local authorities to meet their climate action plan targets. Yeah.
Okay, and just finally, before I let you off the hook, how do you see the roles of international cooperation and agreements in harmonizing carbon pricing mechanisms across borders for public procurement? I can take it. Okay.
We have so that is one plus of this project, because it's international. We can learn from each other, from experiences from the colleagues in Amsterdam and Paris, and the other partners which have profound experience with carbon pricing, and so how to implement them, and how to improve the situation. And this is quite so that's how our project is striving and living. As we produce there, so not only focused on Ireland, we produce an all over approach for Northwest Europe, and that is an advantage, so that we can exchange our experience with the other partners, and that is a big win. And we can use those experiences here in Ireland and transfer them or amend them to our situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Ralph. So if you have any other questions for him, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We are proceeding to the other parts of the presentation, and I'll just share my screen now as well. Okay, so next we will be hearing from Colm O'Mahony. He has a vast experience within the construction industry, supervising in the delivery of bespoke renovations and extensions within the domestic sector. Now, with the Southeast Energy Agency, he has managed or manages domestic retrofit services and analysis, and also goes ahead to analyze energy consumption across various sectors, generating a detailed technical report for numerous building types. So over to you now, Colm.
Thank you very much, Adema, and again, welcome everyone. Again, thanks, Ralph. I suppose it was an in-depth overview of the DeCarb Pro project, and again, I suppose it highlights the benefits of green procurement and how they can help us reduce CO2. Again, Adema gave just a brief introduction. My name is Colm. I'm an energy engineer. I'm the domestic delivery lead with the Southeast Energy Agency. I primarily work on the different retrofitting projects projects and SEI programs where we kind of coordinate project management, domestic retrofits, and help, I suppose, homeowners along the cumbersome journey of domestic renovations. We work with various private homeowners, local authorities, approved housing bodies, but really, I suppose, a core element for ourselves is we work with vulnerable, I suppose, and fuel poor homeowners to kind of ensure, I suppose, these people are often tenants that are living in the most inefficient homes, and I suppose then have a just and fair transition. I suppose it's key to ensure that none of these are left behind. I'm going to talk about domestic renovation, and really because the key theme and how this can reduce CO2 emissions within the residential sector, some of the different stakeholders involved, and I suppose the challenges for retrofitting. And more specifically, the theme of this presentation is kind of one-stop shops or integrated home renovation services, and how can this help increase the renovation rate. Just specifically an EU project, which is EU Peers, which I'll speak more about in depth shortly. Next slide, please, Adema. So just to talk about it a little from an Irish context, I suppose, as we're all well aware, over 40% of our energy-related carbon emissions are from buildings. And specifically, I suppose, the housing or domestic sector accounts for approximately 25% of this. As we know, every presentation that I see or that we give refers to our ambitious targets we've set targets to achieve 500,000 retrofits to a building energy rating of B2 or cost optimal by 2030. Now again, this is I suppose a significant upscale from where we were used to shallow retrofits or kind of single measures to a more deeper retrofit. We are looking at the whole house as a system, looking at a fabric first approach, then looking at your heating, ventilation, and then an element of renewables. But also it's key to provide a roadmap for the homeowners to show, I suppose, what's suitable, what can be done, and again, what's financially viable for that particular home. Just to touch on, again, approximately 50% of our homes in Ireland have a current BR rating of a D or lower, again, which require significant upgrades to meet our targets and our current energy standards. And just to highlight again, these are most of the vulnerable tenants, often low-income homeowners that are living in these homes, find the process very cumbersome and overwhelming. And I suppose these need the most help in order to, help alleviate fuel poverty and also provide them with warm, calm, thermally comfort building. So we have a long way to go, and I suppose it's safe to say we all need to collaborate and share the good and the bad, so we can learn and grow. I suppose such an ambitious target is only realistic if we all work together. I suppose providing one-stop shops, integrated home renovation services, and again the current EU project, the EU Peers, and particularly the community of practice can significantly help with this. And next slide, please, Alima. Yeah, that's there, Alima. So just to chat about the EU Peers, I suppose really the core element is to strengthen the uptake of domestic renovation through one-stop shops or integrated home renovation services. I suppose it's a 3-year funded project. It started in September 2023 and is running till August 2026. So there's 11 partners from 8 different countries: France, Spain, Italy, Hungary, Latvia. Again, it's a mixture of public and private contractors, energy agencies, and financial institutes. But as I say, the core or the centerpiece of this project is the community of practice, and we'll go through how to join, and hopefully we're looking to build and gather members together. I suppose it's an online platform, and it's a space where it's aimed at connecting all of us that are involved in the customer journey or the supply chain, so we can suppose, really collaborate and identify common challenges, barriers, but also help to find and share solutions that have worked. Again, share stories, collaborate, and again, influence policy to again increase their renovation rate and reduce fuel poverty nationally and internationally. So there are different one-stop shop models that are developed around Europe. Currently, I suppose Ireland we have a definition of the one-stop shops. SEAI currently have a registered one-stop shop model. But again, I know it's actually specifically and refers to one-stop shops in the Energy Performance of Building Directive. But it's just good to note that we also have this new term called the Integrated Home Renovation Service, which I suppose is not being used too much in Ireland. We're still referring to as the one-stop shops. Again, it's just good to highlight that there is a difference and an emerging theme with both, where it's about providing a hassle-free homeowner journey in order to them to really a simplified process to upgrade their home. So there was a report completed in 2020-22, which really looked at 10 steps throughout the homeowner journey process. And again, depending on the steps or the processes or services that you were providing, it was generally categorized into three main categories. There was advice, support, and implementation. Again, also, if we just look on the left, again, that was our own Southeast Energy Agency. We've been working and delivering domestic retrofits since 2012. Realised, I suppose, years ago that again, from working with vulnerable tenants, that it is a cumbersome and a hassle journey that can often be overwhelming for the homeowner. Again, it's just to go through some of the key elements of the stages. I suppose there's information and marketing where you need to target, and I suppose look to get homeowners. Some owners may not have the internet, some owners may not know what is needed or where to go to start their homeowner journey. Again, it's about providing a baseline for the homeowner to show how efficient or inefficient is their home, and then really explaining technical terms in a non-technical manner so the homeowner understands, I suppose, the process, the measures that are being installed, how is it different to their current system, and again, evaluating the retrofit post-works to ensure that they understand the system and they know, I suppose, what to do, because again, it's different from current traditional systems that have been installed in homes. Again, some homeowners can get overwhelmed with their procurement and providing contractors. Again, it can be like some people refer to like a wedding planner. Again, there's so many different aspects involved with getting your dresses and your suits, your dinner, the venue. But again, the homeowner or the bride and groom are dealing with so many different actors within the group to try get their big special day. But again, there may not be an overlap between everyone else. So it's just a little analogy, I suppose, just to think of how cumbersome or overwhelming that the actual process can be for a homeowner. So again, really, it's about simplifying the journey for the homeowners, and by doing this, making it easier for everyone involved. Next slide, please, Lima. So again, one-stop shops or integrated home renovation services, I suppose, are identified in the new EPD directive as catalysts, I suppose, for promoting energy renovations and accelerating retrofits in order to meet our targets. Again, it's about making the process simple, tailor-made and accessible for all homeowners. So in order to have a fair and just transition, it's critical, I suppose, that nobody is left behind. As we know, I suppose a key barrier to home renovations is finance. Next slide, please, Dima. I suppose the mission again is to strengthen and uptake the renovation movement. Again, who can join? And I suppose we have different catalysts within the community of practice. We have IHRS providers and IHRS supporters. So as the IHRS providers, I suppose, are often labelled as one-stop shops or emerging initiatives or contractors, I suppose, who are delivering what we went through the customer journey for the homeowner. Again, IHRS supporters are helping the customer journey along the value chain and maybe are providing some advice, works, or maybe some quality assurance, but they're not providing the homeowner on the whole customer journey or delivering the project for the client. Yep, next slide please, Adima. So again, why should you join and what is the EU peers in the community of practice? Again, it's about learning and sharing. So there's specific mentoring programs organised for emerging one-stop shops, irrespective of if you're only starting and delivering minor retrofits or delivering large retrofits. Again, there's trainings and capacity building workshops. Again, it's key, and the main critical area here is there's the digital collaboration tool where we're knowledge sharing, collaborating, I suppose, and identifying barriers and highlighting what works, what hasn't worked, and where we can, I suppose, make the customer journey more easy and increase the renovation wave and everything for ourselves, I suppose, along the customer journey value chain. Next slide, please, Emma. In how to become a member, there's 4 key steps to becoming a member. Next slide, please, Adima. Again, we just complete a form where we have an initial meeting and we give us some basic information about your one-stop shop, your service provider. Again, what role are you within the renovation sector, and would you like to join and be a member of our community of practice? Again, following this, there's a survey where we give us some more advice about your organisation, and I suppose some just details about your one-stop shop, whether it's within service, delivery, post evaluation. Next slide, please, Adima. Again, there's 7 different platforms. So again, if you're not in one of these countries, there's also a transnational platform where anyone can, I suppose, join and share, again, knowledge about the one-stop shops and policy recommendations, perhaps previous projects, I suppose, news related to Green Building Week is up there now, and any relevant presentations and talks that we've done recently. So just on the joining of the community of practice and the EU peers, Dima, was there anything else that, as the community officer for the EU peers, that you would like to add?
Okay, so if you're interested, there's a feedback survey just after this webinar. It's going to pop up, and I'll see if I can paste it in the chat box as well for anyone who is interested in being a part of the community of practice. Okay, so Colm, is there any other thing you'd like to add before we proceed to question and answer?
No, that's it. Again, thanks again to everyone for joining. Again, as we all know, I suppose we have really ambitious targets in the renovation sector. And again, in order, while we're going to be reducing CO2 and emissions, again, the knock-on impact again is we're improving quality living and internal thermal environments, I suppose, for vulnerable homeowners. So by, I suppose, reducing CO2 emissions, making policy recommendations in order to really meet our ambitious targets, I feel that it's vital that nobody is left behind in order to really achieve our just transition. And again, thanks to everybody for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Colm. Thank you to all our participants who are still here. And if you have questions for Colm, please go ahead and ask your questions. You can put it in the chat box, or you could raise your hand as well, and we will attend to your questions. And just in case you still have questions for Ralph, there's something that came to your mind and you would like to proceed to ask, please go ahead and do so. Now, Colm, listening to your presentation, it just got me a bit curious. How can smaller construction firms, which may have fewer resources, effectively reduce their GHG emissions?
Was working with local contractors, Adima, is it?
Yeah, like smaller construction firms, they probably have fewer resources. So what could they do to effectively reduce their GHG emissions?
Again, small. Again, it's everyone can reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and what we're really aiming to do here, I suppose, Adima, is from the delivery side, raising awareness so the contractors know, I suppose, what the correct approach when you're delivering a retrofit, and being able to explain that to a homeowner, that what is the right sequence of, I suppose, retrofit, what's the correct process. So whether you're a small builder or a big builder, it's about knowing, I suppose, the fabric first approach and being able to work with, again, competent contractors. Again, there's a big element now where we're talking about retrofitting homes, which is totally different, I suppose, to new build elements. So I suppose there's an element of being able to work in an occupied home, again, and deliver retrofits competent and, again, to high quality standards. Because, again, you could have a BER rating and documentation, but it's about ensuring that the work is up to the standards for the homeowner to really get the benefits, I suppose, reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, but also, I suppose, have the thermal comfort and the benefits following the works.
Okay, and if I may ask you just a very candid question, do you think, how do you think one-stop shops or integrated home renovation service providers could maybe effectively balance cost, quality, and sustainability in projects aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions?
I suppose, again, we have the grant funding system within Ireland, but, again, one of the main elements that from working with homeowners is finance. And I suppose at the moment there's a limited amount of one-stop shops or competent contractors locally to deliver. Again, we know from the previous years, material and workmanship has increased. But I suppose as you increase awareness, again, we have limited resources within the retrofit industry, as in the workforce. Once we increase the workforce, again, there's training centres out there now where we're looking and promoting the retrofitting industry. Again, once we create more one-stop shops, deliver more locally assessors, technical advisors, contractors, architects, engineers, then I suppose once you have more people and I suppose available, then that may reduce, I suppose, the cost. But again, its cost will always is increasing with the construction industry. It's just about helping, ensuring that the most vulnerable really aren't left behind, and how can we help them, I suppose, again, retrofit their homes. But cost is always one of the main barriers, I suppose, to retrofitting your home. That's why people can always or often do it in a phased approach, which is so why it's vital to understand and get your roadmap, I suppose, a email of here's what you need to do and what you can do and the correct process, and following, I suppose, that.
Okay, thank you very much, Colin, and thank you as well, Ralph. Just before we wrap up this webinar, there's just a few steps and a few things that you could do, not the speakers this time. I'm referring to you who is participating. Now, you could endorse and implement the roadmap. Okay, so this presentation is going to be shared, just like I said at the start of this webinar. And the IGBC, they have created a roadmap. You could take a look at the roadmap, fill out the form, endorse, and implement the steps. Now, another thing you could do is also upskill in whole life carbon and circularity. So there are courses too offered by IGBC. You could go on the platform and see which one suits you as well. There is also the advocacy for embodied carbon and whole life carbon emissions. What can you do? Have these discussions in your organizations. By doing so, you become a decarbonisation ambassador. So you help us to spread the message as well throughout your industry. And finally, you can share your actions. If you plan to maybe hold media interviews, whatever it is you want to do. Now, you cannot totally take out the role of social media in the society today. So go ahead and share your actions. use the hashtag WGBW2024, hashtag Building Live, hashtag Act Now for Climate. Just follow these steps and let us know if you have questions. So you can just quickly scan the QR code displayed to fill our survey. Now, what we did today was just giving you an overview of the DeCarb Pro project and the EUPS project. We just gave you we didn't want to go into all the details of the project because of time and because we didn't know which one you would really be interested in. Now, filling out the survey will help us to do more tailor-made webinars, including events as well, that will suit your needs, whether you're a one-stop shop, whether you are an IHRS provider, financial institution supporting, architect, local authority, policymaker, whoever you are. So just let us know in the survey if you want to go for more of DeCarb Pro, more of EUPS, or you want to also join the community of practice. I've also pasted the link to the survey in the chat box as well. So this will pop up. Okay, it's already up. And as soon as this webinar ends as well, it's going to redirect you straight to the survey. It's not going to take more than 2 minutes of your time. Please go ahead and fill out the survey so we can do more tailor-made webinars or events to suit your needs. A big thank you as well to our two speakers, Ralph and Colum. Sadly, Alex got caught up and couldn't join us. She was really supposed to be in this webinar today, but hopefully we'll be able to get her again in for our next series of webinars. In the meantime, thank you so much, everyone, for joining this webinar. It's great to know we did not exceed time, but we appreciate you being here. We hope to see you again in subsequent ones. Thank you so much and have a very beautiful day. The video of this will also be on our YouTube page. Yes, I have to mention that. So we'll upload the video, we'll share the link with you. If you joined us halfway, we did state that if you do not register via the Ticket Tailor platform we sent out, please go ahead and send an email to events@southeastenergy.ie. I'll type it out as soon as I'm done talking on the chat box. So you can send us an email and we'll send you the presentation and the link to YouTube if you did not register and you just got the Zoom link and decided to join. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.